We find that there are schools that are not directing their kids towards vocational education when it fits for them. Why? Ask them. It has to do with money, reimbursement. There are many schools in this state that are not doing College Credit Plus because they're not telling the kids that it's available. It's another cost issue. Our K-12 system should be here to serve students and not adults. Should be here to serve students and not administrators. So you don't want to have a College Credit Plus program and make your students abundantly aware of those programs. And we're going to send out a letter to every mom and dad who have kids in these schools, and if you don't have it in your school, we want to know about it. We want you to contact the Ohio Department of Education because we want to give our kids opportunity to get to college, to lower their costs, and to be successful. Plain and simple. And it's just not great that schools are not aggressively advancing this program. But we're going to get this done.
As a superintendent of a public school district that sponsored and started 2 community schools, I'm a huge supporter of school choice. Have been, will continue to be. But as we look at this, we know the choice system has percolated some bad community schools. We've been trying to work through that, but we need to be more diligent and work more committed than ever that while we know that there are a huge number of really high-quality community schools out there, and I can name a bunch of them, and I know you all know those, that the bad actors, the ones that aren't getting it done, are pulling them down. They're pulling them down, they're taking part of the market away from our good quality authorizers, our good community schools, and that absolutely has to stop. So that's why we're proposing tougher scrutiny on all our charter school authorizers. And we're going to be proposing banning bad authorizers from sponsoring any schools at all. And I think that's hugely important as we look to try to grow. The whole premise is that regardless of where our students are, wherever they live, they deserve access to a high-quality school. Whether it's a traditional school, whether it's a community school, they need to have access to a high-quality school. And it's incumbent upon us with our community school opportunities that we make that happen, and so hence this proposal to elevate our expectations for sponsors, make sure they're quality, and make sure we support them. And one of the ways that we want to support them, and the governor's already mentioned that, would be with new levy funding options that would be made available for them. What we're proposing is that a local school board, in conjunction with a community school, could provide for on their ballot language, a levy for multiple purposes, the local school district and a community school. Or, if that local school district decided to just have a levy for a community school, they could do that also. Currently that's not allowed under the statute, and I think there's maybe some interest in that, and I think we need to start looking at this as all our children. It doesn't matter if they go to the community school or a traditional school. We have an obligation, we have a moral obligation to all our children to provide a quality education. A few other items, a few of the many other items that are in the budget that I'll briefly talk about, is that we have some proposals on regulatory relief and empowering local school boards. We have regulatory relief items that would apply to all school districts across the state, and that could be effectuated. One example of that would be the bidding requirements, which is currently $25,000 for school districts. County commissioners and counties and townships have a $50,000 threshold. I think that we're proposing that be the same. It will reduce cost and ease on the bidding requirements. They would still have to get quotes, but it would facilitate the opportunities for local boards of education. The second part of the regulatory relief would be for high-performing school districts. And I think it's important, and we have criteria that we'd be looking at for those schools that qualify, but we would be trying to give them more opportunities to have more flexibility. So there's school boards and the superintendents, the leaders in that community go together and say, we want to do something differently, we're high performing, why do we have all these rules imposed on us by the state? Many of you have seen the testing report that the Department of Ed submitted to the governor and the legislature. The bottom line is we were committed in a surveying of the local districts to reduce testing while maintaining the accountability system. The proposal was to reduce testing with the legislative enactments by about 18%, nearly 20%. And in addition to that, there's some proposals that we are implementing right now at the department that will supplement that and exceed that 18%. But our goal was to try to cap the amount of state and district testing and cap the amount of local practice tests that occur. Too many, as the governor mentioned, too many of our counselors get caught up in doing or assigned to doing other things. The pathway to careers and jobs and colleges is too important to be left to a counselor that's being assigned to hall duty or lunch duty. We're going to be working with Education Standards Board to set expectations for what our counselors should be doing. We're going to have an expectation of communication and webinars with our districts to try to enforce and ensure that that happens with our guidance counselors. Our youngsters need guidance in a lot of ways. With the community connectors, that's going to be supported in additional ways, but our counselors need to be the backbone of that pathway. We have some career tech students that are taking career tech classes. And at the end of those career tech classes, they can take a test that says they receive a credential that they can go out and get a job. We have some situations where some of our low-income students have not been afforded that opportunity because they couldn't afford the cost of the credential test. We have an allocation that would actually pay for the credential for that student that would take the test, graduate, and be able to get a job, and require the district's career test to do it for all students. Hugely important because that credential is a pathway to that career and that job. Continuing to fund the Straight A Fund, and I think there's a Straight A Day this Thursday. We invite you all to talk to students and participants in that program. And really, growing the Community Connectors program is an increase in the allocation. It's a powerful way to bring our faith-based, our business, and our civic community together with our schools and kind of work with our students in a way that sends them on a pathway to greater success, not just a diploma, which is just a marker on the way to a job and a career and being good citizens. But usually enthusiastic about that, and I think it's a great thing for Ohio.